Hi, welcome back. My name is Krista Hamilton, and I'm going to be giving you instructions on the actual completion of your course that you have. Obviously, you would sign in to your It's Learning account, and then make sure that you go over to the courses and choose the course that you are in, whether you're in economics, personal finance, summer or school year, whichever one. Find it in your list and click on it. Pretty much everything that you need is going to be in this center section right here. The first thing is the calendar. Your events are listed over here. They will give you what's due at what time on the 18th. The course begins for the summer in 2018, and then you have these items due on the first day. If you want to view the overview of everything, you can go to your calendar. What I would suggest when you go to the calendar is I turn off everything over here except the course I want to look at. I also choose list because in the month view, you don't really see too much information. Let me scroll over to when the course actually starts. So if you look at this, it's thinking at the moment. It really doesn't give you any details. It just tells you that kind of, hey, there's things that are on each of these days. But what I prefer is to look at this in the list view, because if you're in the list view and you go to the class, like when the class starts, let's go one more. What you see here is that you have all of the items kind of laid out of what's due on each day. So I kind of like this view better. So I would use that for your calendar. So you can see that, but it'll also on your home page for the course, whatever is due currently will pop up over here and kind of give you a heads up. The other thing that's important is these plans in the middle. And it is important that you make sure that when you are completing the course that you click the start button and then follow the instructions. And if you look at where I'm going to scroll down here, actually, let me do it from this. Here's the day one training task, and everything's kind of outlined there. Here's lesson one, and so on. But as you are completing these, you do want to make sure that you click the start button. You'll go through, this is going to be, hey, you're going to complete modules 1 through 4. As you flip through it, it will pop up each of your modules that you will do. You will do those modules until you get to the end. I'll come back and talk about how that will happen. And you'll clip through it. It'll bring up the next one. I'm just going to close them out because I'm not going to show you just yet. I'm just trying to get to the end. Once you get to the end, there were 4 of them in this one, I believe. You'll get here and it'll say, have you completed this task? Please make sure that you click yes on that once you've watched your 4 modules. And then you get to the end. Have you completed this task? Checked your personal reports. Now let's talk about the personal reports real quick because this is going to be important. Kind of 2 things that you need to be careful of. You need to make sure that you always log into It's Learning right before you complete a module. The second thing is as you are working through the plans that you have and you're clicking the next button each time and you have the modules as they pop up. I prefer that you do the modules in one sitting, which means that I'm going to open this module, I'm going to expand this module, I am going to complete this module all the way through, okay? I don't want you to do half of it, walk away from your computer for an hour, and then come back. What we want to avoid is that if Wi-Fi is intermittent, you don't want to be logged in, have it be recording, walk away for an hour, your Wi-Fi blinks, you're no longer connected, you come back because your Wi-Fi is working, you continue your module, but then you realize that it wasn't actually recording your responses. And this system is talking to the It's Learning system and recording your grade as you go. So you always want to make sure that you freshly log into It's Learning, complete a module, and then you're going to be checking your personal report to make sure that it read what you did and that you were connected to it. And I would prefer that you do that in one sitting. Let me show you the personal reports real quick before we get into how you actually complete the modules. So under the follow-up and reports, personal reports, what you're going to be looking for is things that have been completed for you. So like here for this one, I've watched the video for the intro and login instructions. I've read this note. You'll see things like this. This is good. This is what I want to see for you after you have completed the item. So if you've clicked the start button on each plan and worked your way through, you will hit the button on everything that you need to do. Down here at the bottom, let's kind of go down. Here's the welcome module, the very first one that you will do. That one is no points awarded to it, but what you want to see is you want to see where it says passed. The score will be 0 because it doesn't award anything. It's just a module for you to read. And then the time will be however long it takes you to read through it. Usually that's around 20 to 40 minutes for the welcome module. This time is only recording the last time you opened it. So obviously for me, I opened the welcome module, but I only was in it for 2 minutes because I was using it for a video. Once you go through the welcome module and so on, and you've learned, you've done everything, you take your training quiz, you will be ready to start the course. Now, for this, do not open the modules from here. I need you to go through the plans and make sure you're clicking the next button to open them. So let me show you what you're looking for though here. Do you see how on some modules it says passed, then there's a score, there's the time, and there's the attempts. So what we're looking for with each module, the pass score. What you want to see happen is you have opened the module, you have read each page in the module, done each activity, answered all the questions, watched any videos, anything that's in the module. And if you do that, this will click over to pass. So this is where your time in module component comes in and that you've completed the module. So there is a time requirement for each page. Probably it's not long, it's like 20 or 30 seconds, but you do want to make sure that you stay on even the title page long enough that you get the time requirement satisfied for your modules. Now the second part of the module is your score. So each module has a certain amount of points. If you look over here, it shows that module 1 is 41 points, and I obviously have 0. So that would not be great. I would not be happy with my completion for this module, and I would choose to redo this module. Module 2 here was worth 40 points, and it's passed, and it says 40 points. Took me 34 minutes to do it, and this last little attempts is like your page clicks, like how many times you've clicked on each page, the next button, each time you've gone through. So that can also give me some information that I did module 2 once, and I got a perfect score in it. This one up here, I've clicked around in several times, and when you see something like this, time 23 hours, that's kind of bad because that means I left it open on my desktop. It was open for a long amount of time. And sometimes what happens also is maybe I complete it, but I forgot to close it. And then when I re-log in and then I go back to it, it may reset itself. So that might be why the score is 0. So you do got to watch for things like that, which is why I really want you to do it in one sitting, beginning to end, 20 to 30 minutes, and then walk away from it, close it and walk away from it. Now, the other thing that you're looking at here is as you're doing these, let me show you one that has, I get to scroll down. This obviously is bad. Do you see how module 5 has nothing next to it? That means I haven't even opened it. So if it was a module that I'm supposed to have already done, then I obviously haven't done it. So you can see in your reports things that you need to work on, get that complete. It may also mean that you thought you were connected to the system, but you weren't when you did that module. If you think you've done it and it's not showing any record of completion at all, that means you were not logged in to the system. That's why I want to tell you to make sure you log in fresh every time that you get ready to do modules. All right, let me show you one that is incomplete. Sometimes if you don't satisfy, I know I have one down here. Let's see. Right here. So sometimes you don't quite click through all the pages, you've missed something, you didn't quite go all the way to the end. So this is also considered bad. This incomplete, you're only going to get a 50 out of 100 for your completion rate for that module. So you do want to make sure you go back and fix that. If you have no idea why that's incomplete and you think you've done everything, what I would suggest is open the module from the beginning, click on the next button, stay on each page about 30 seconds. You don't have to redo the points if your points are okay, and just click all the way through the module until the end, and then hopefully that will hit the page that you've missed when you were going through it the first time, and it will click over and be passed right there. Okay, so you'll want to fix that before the due date for the modules. The other thing is maybe I'm doing a module and I'm not happy with my points. So if I come back up here, that very first one, if I am unhappy with the amount of points that I've got, because that's the other component of your grade, 50% of your grade is completion. You just did it before the due date. So you can have 100 on half of your grade for this course simply by completing the modules by their due date. 25% of your course grade is from the quarter test at the end, and 25% is from the points that you earn in the modules. Now I'm going to talk about that next, but see how this one has 0. I'm obviously not happy with that. You may redo modules as many times as you want before the due date to improve this point score. So if you do a module the first time and you miss a couple of things along the way and you're not happy with your point score, you may redo it. That's why I suggest taking notes as you're doing your module. So you first have to make sure that it says passed, because if it doesn't have passed, it won't let you reset it to start earning points again. So, but once it says passed and it has 0 here, then I will click on that and I'm going to redo that module. Now, let me show you some things in the modules. All right, first thing I would do, I like to enlarge it. Second thing, I like to pop out this little arrow because I like to see where I am in the module. This is your table of contents. I also like to click the down arrow up here so that I see a back and a next button. When you are completing a module, you'd want to stay on every page a minimum of about 20 to 30 seconds, including this title page, because that's included even though there's nothing on it. Open it and sit there for a few minutes or a few seconds. 20 seconds is usually enough. Make sure that you always navigate not by here, because this will cause you to miss pages, by this next page down at the bottom. So you can click next page. You can use this to go back, but I would prefer that you use the one at the bottom to continue to go forward. As you are working through your module, now I'm going to skip around a little bit just so I can hit the highlights. There will be activities. Activities are worth big points, 50, 100 points. So you want to make sure that you do well on these activities. That's your first source of points. This one's pretty simple. You're just going to answer some questions. It should give you feedback. I have no idea what the answers are, but good, I guessed well. Good job. See, it's going to give you some feedback. So it'll work through that. You'll do each of the activities. Like this one has 1, 2. Sometimes you see this. Just say, okay, it's computer stuff. Work your way through it. This one has 3 activities. Then at the end of each module, you see how there's a comprehension check, homework, and then some other things. You are required to do everything in the module. Comprehension checks are usually worth less points. They're usually 1 or 2 points a question. So like this one you would answer, and again, I'm just throwing an answer out there. It'll give you feedback and it'll say you missed it. This will be something where you'll lose points in a module. So as you go to the next and you go through it, if you look at your total points and maybe it was worth 450 points and you got 459 or 449, I wouldn't redo it. But if I mess up an activity and I only have 200 out of 400 points, I clearly would go back and redo that module to earn more points. So the comprehension check is required. The homework practice is required. So you'll make sure you do all of those, whatever they tell you to do. The Econ Lab is not required. That's kind of like a simulation game. I don't really care about that. So anytime you see Econ Lab, you can skip that. The second thing is there are some other things that's not in this module, but there are open-ended activities. Open-ended activities are extra credit. You may do them, submit them before the quarter test to me via email, and that will add points, extra points into your points section. So you can earn some points back. And make sure that as you are going through, you get to the very end of the module, you always click this last link back to table of contents. Okay? And one last thing before we leave is that when you are looking at the plans, make sure that for each plan you click the start button, you go through. Do you see right here where there's a comment on reading graphs in Module 5? I have a lot of notes that I've added in, that if there's an unclear question, I'm giving you some feedback before you take the module. If there are instructions or there's some errors in the module, I'm giving you feedback. So you do want to make sure that you look at all of these notes that are in here. I have also added some extra things that are optional that give you some more information about some harder topics that are in the class. All right, that should get you guys started. You can go ahead and click the start buttons on your plans and begin the course.